Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to this video on what's new in Apache Cloudstack 4.17. Talking today is myself, Giles. I'm CEO of ShapeBlue, also a PMC member of Apache Cloudstack, chairman of the CloudStack European User Group. And we have Marco. Marco, why don't you say hello?
Hey, hello. Thank you, Giles. Well, guys, before the marketing guy here at ShapeBlue in UK, I lead the ShapeBlue in Latin America, delivering many interesting, very nice projects there. Well, I'm not only a market guy, but as well a tech guy, and I am here to contribute to this, guys here.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Marco. Marco, you're also a committer in the Apache Cloudstack.
Yeah, exactly. Committer Apache Cloudstack.
Fantastic.
For sure, yes.
Okay, so what we've done today, we put this together really quickly. I hope it doesn't show too much. CloudStack 4.17 was only released yesterday, so we've put this together based on one of the release candidate versions just before release. What we're going to talk about is just a bit of information about the release, and then we're just going to focus on the headline, what we consider are the headline features of 4.17. So lots of different features. We've listed them all there, and we're not going to go through every new feature in 4.17, just the ones that we think are significant. Lots to talk about. I think we're going to go through about 12 odd different features today. So let's dive straight in. The release information, it was released yesterday. We're doing this video on the 8th of June 2022. It was released, CloudStack 4.17 was officially released on the 7th of June. It's a big release. So in total, it's got 383 features, improvements and bug fixes, which is major for a CloudStack release. 16 new features, which I said we're going to do about 12 of those today. It's an LTS release, which means the community will support it for a period of 18 months, which will put its end of life around December 2023, January 2024. And I think it's just worth saying, usually with a CloudStack release, we have one or two things that the industry really pick up and go, wow, they've done some integration with this. Wow, they're now supporting Kubernetes. This release is, I see it as a release for existing users and operators of CloudStack. There's a lot of work in this release, but a lot of these things aren't particularly newsworthy to the rest of the industry. But if you're running CloudStack, I think you'll really love some of these things. So we're going to dive straight in and start to talk about what we consider is probably the most significant feature of this release. And this is a real quote. In fact, real quotes. I don't know. I haven't got enough fingers to count how many times I've been told this, but one of the advantages of Apache Cloudstack has always been with its monolithic architecture. It's relatively easy to upgrade. Upgrading the management servers has always been easy. It's been fast. It's been pretty reliable, apart from the virtual routers. And the problem has always existed that with the virtual routers, the initial approach that we took to upgrading the virtual routers was to basically rebuild the virtual routers. And the net result in that has been, there's been significant network downtime. Okay, so people have therefore, by definition, to do a CloudStack upgrade, had to have maintenance windows for their users. They've had to put a lot of work into scheduling the virtual router upgrades and restarts. That's all changed, and that's why this is a hugely significant feature for us. So if we just look, that's the existing process during an upgrade. The old VR was destroyed, it's shut down, all its resources were removed. A new virtual router was created based on the new template for the new release. And if you hadn't got that seeded somewhere, that'd have to be copied across some secondary storage. All this is taking time, right? At first boot, that router would be configured, and then eventually the services would come up and people's networks would be back online. And that was proper network downtime. Now, over the last, 3-4 years, I think it is, a lot of work has gone into improving that upgrade process with the end goal of being zero downtime upgrades. It's got better and better and better over the last few years, over the last few releases. It's got faster and faster, but this is the first time we're able to say that we've now got 0 network downtime upgrades. What has happened is we've completely looked at how the virtual router is deployed and configured. And rather than shipping a new template and therefore having to destroy everything, we've got a mechanism where CloudStack, the CloudStack management server, can directly live patch an existing virtual router. So on the fly, it can send new configuration down to the virtual router. The virtual router can apply that configuration and the VR is immediately operational. So we're removing all that waiting for templates to be copied, for VRs to be built, for the destroying process in the first time. So we've gone from a model of there always having to be an amount of time, and that could vary depending on the complexity of routers and how fast your storage is and what have you, but it could be minutes for a network being down to having no network downtime whatsoever. And this to me is, it's the holy grail we've been after for a few years. Marco, do you agree it's the holy grail for
sure. This is a very nice feature because we reduce drastically the process to upgrade the CloudStack. It's very simple to update the CloudStack. It's the CloudStack is no because it's very simple to maintain and upgrade. But this is the major problem we had before. If you have thousands of virtual router, it's a pain to upgrade. You need a very large maintenance window to upgrade that. Yeah. I mean, for service provider and user, it's a very nice feature.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think people watching this will appreciate why I said, this isn't particularly exciting to the rest of the world, right? But if you're running a large CloudStack environment and you've upgraded it a few times over the last few years, those people will know why this is exciting and why this is interesting.
The people know that they're paying about this, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So the VR is not shut down when CloudStack's upgraded. That's the first point. We then use what we've called virtual router live patching, which is almost a separate feature in itself. That is used instead of the destroy, create, recreate process. From a network viewpoint, there are no TCP packets lost. The network does not go down. There is some service restarting. We're going to talk about that in a second, but that's in the order of milliseconds. That's sub-second stuff. And the net result should be no more long maintenance windows to do an upgrade. You can do it with 0 downtime. I suppose in a way, here's the small print. There's a few things behind the headline. HA proxy, Apache, DNS mask services do need to be restarted if they've got new configuration, obviously. But from testing so far, that's a sub-second restart. That's a blip. And we've done, it's not extensive in terms of the performance of this, but some sort of initial testing. We can, we can have a VPN running virtually uninterrupted. We can, have a load balancer where it's a split-second interruption, and we consider that, within the margin of error to call it a 0 downtime upgrade. One thing worth bearing in mind, the live patching has still got to reprogram the virtual router. How long that takes depends on the complexity. So if you've got a virtual router with, hundreds of load balancers on it and very, very complex firewall rules, that is going to take longer to reprogram. We still think this is going to be in the order of magnitude of sub-second, but it is worth running some tests before you rely on this live patching process. The other piece of small print we've got is around versions. So if you are running CloudStack 4.14 and you upgrade it to 4.17, or any future versions, your virtual routers can be deployed using live patching. Okay, so no new template is deployed. The new software configuration is put directly on the routers. If you're running an older version, 4.13 and below, that isn't possible. Now, this will all be handled gracefully, and you'll be told you have to use the old mechanism, not live patching. And the reason for that is where we've had changes of components and operating systems. So I think, Marco, the difference in 4.13 and 4.13 there was 4.13 and 4.14 is probably the Debian version of the router. Is that correct?
Exactly. The major version of Debian distribution is changed in the template because of these calls. They needed to rebuild the virtual router.
Yeah, get it. And that problem in theory does continue. So, you know, if we need to change a major component in the virtual router, we still have to use the rebuild technique to rebuild those virtual routers. But there's some really clever stuff in terms of choosing when you do that during your upgrade or not during your upgrade. But there's this compatibility matrix. I've screen grabbed this from the documentation. You need to check that, because depending on what version you're coming from and you're going to, you may not be able to use the live patching mechanism. CloudStack will default back to the original upgrade, which takes longer, simply.
Yeah, by the way, the UI as well, you alert users exactly like that. We need when a car update, right?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So this is the virtual router screen. We're not going to demo all this today because demoing upgrades is just going to take far too long. But this is the virtual router screen, and I think we've always had a version here, but now we've got two versions. We've got the template version and the software version, right? And whether it requires an upgrade is based on both of those. So what we've got here is a situation where we can have a template version which is older, but we can then patch it with the new software, and that's fine. So you can sort of pick and choose as an operator when you upgrade the software version for your virtual routers based on whether you're able to do that via live patching or not. It'll take a little bit more thinking because you've got more control and more flexibility there, but ultimately what you can now do is just click into a virtual router here and live patch it. Yeah, and that piece of functionality can be run at any time by an administrator. So these two things combined, I think, are, to me, they're the most exciting news in 4.17. Okay, right. So IPv6 in CloudStack. The headline here is we've now got support, IPv6 support in isolated networks and VPC tiers. We've had IPv6 support in shared networks for some time, and this is a journey, right? It's taking time to get IPv6 support across all of CloudStack. This is the latest stuff that go in 4.17. There's more stuff to come in future versions. Marco, do you want to add any more about, you know, how this all hangs together?
Yeah, the first thing is ends. The IPv4 is ends. You don't have more IPv4 available. Then what you can do is implement the IPv6 in isolated VPC networks that enable users to use IPv6 in the virtual machine, directing virtual machine, considering isolating and VPC network. It's interesting because it continue use IPv4 like you used before, using NAT, for example, and you can use, in this case, dual stack IPv6 and IPv4 as well. The thing is, it support only the firewall service for configuration for IPv6. The other service, I think you'll be in the next phase. You can talk more about this after.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I mean, that's just firewall support for so get this right, for VPC and for shared networks, right? But to come in the future, there's ongoing work, there's work in progress constantly around IPv6, support for further services, load balancing, port redirects, etc., and also dynamic routing with BGP and OSPF. That's all in progress. It's just it didn't make the 4.17 cuts, right? So what we're hoping to see is in a few releases of CloudStack, pretty much everything has got IPv6 support, but it's a journey, and it's a very big journey that CloudStack is on, right? It's been going on for some time, and it will continue to go on for some time, but exciting stuff. Okay, StorPool, who are a vendor of software-based storage, a company we know very well. They've done a lot of work integrating with CloudStack and been great supporters of the community as well, StorPool. The StorPool plugin, which has been around for some time and been evolving for some time, but the StorPool plugin is now officially contained within a CloudStack release for the first time. Previously, that was something they made available only to their customers, but now Apache Cloudstack ships natively with the StorPool integration. I have to say, for the sake of fairness, there are lots of other storage vendors who have managed storage integration with CloudStack, but it's great to see that list growing. What it does, it allows CloudStack to natively manage their storage pools instead of just doing it, in a dumb way through NFS. Provides block devices as raw disk images. Their support is only for KVM at the moment. I think that's where most of their use cases are, but I'm sure that will probably extend to other hypervisors over time. And ultimately, then it allows a whole range of VM operations for volumes, snapshots, etc., direct to the storage, bypassing some of the clumsy ways that sometimes CloudStack addresses things like snapshotting, etc. So there we go. It's great to see the StorPool storage plugin in CloudStack. Other things, same with any other managed storage provider, quality of service, guaranteeing IOPS, all of that stuff you can do with a very clever storage platform. You can now do at the orchestration layer through CloudStack. Okay, so for some time, CloudStack's supported, shared networks and private gateways. We all know what those things are. But they've always been things that the root admin would have to create. And that hasn't always sat well, right? CloudStack is about self-service, it's about infrastructure as a service. And there are certain things where they basically, they have to, I don't know, fill in a ticket or send an email or something like that, because only an admin could create shared networks and private gateways. That's now changed. A lot of thinking had to go into this. It's not just a simple case of making a feature, giving permissions to the feature to users, but a normal user in CloudStack can now create a shared network and private gateways. And there's this other thing, Marco, as well, the associated existing network. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Exactly. Now you can, for example, if your user has an isolated network or a VPC tier, for example, he can use the same L2 as a shared network. It's interesting because in the same way you need to reduce the overhead between application, and then the users can use the same layer, providing two network in the same L2 villa, for example. It's really cool.
Yeah, get it.
Stuff to have. Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's a bit of a note there, almost a bit of a warning. Because users can now create these, we have to create a service offering, right? So there's now a service offering of type shared network, for example. Thing to remember is you must specify, not allow users to specify their own VLAN. I think all sorts of bother if you start letting users choose their own VLAN. So that's just a rule. That's all documented, etc., etc. I didn't mention at the beginning, but Marco's going to run through a demo of a lot of these things at the end. I think that's one of the ones you're going to demo, right, Marco? Just to show people where that is. Multi-account network access. Really, really nice feature. So what I can now do, if I'm a user, an account, I can now share a network with another account as long as they're in the same domain. So the use case here is around, if you've got two different accounts with, the extreme example is 2 bits of an application running in 2 different accounts. Maybe you've got an account which is all the database guys, and an account is all the business tier guys. From a network perspective, because they couldn't share those networks, they would have to go all the way out, I guess, to how far would they have to go, Marco, in terms of packets?
Well, in this case, for example, you have an API from another account in the same domain that the application needed to access. Before, how is the behavior? The virtual machine the package from the virtual machine to access another layer, another network, the API, for example, the package needs to go first to the virtual router and after cross the public network, go through another virtual router and go to the application. We have two hubs in this case, right? You eliminate that. With this feature, you can, for example, create a virtual machine in the same network layer of other account. It permits, for example, no hubs to access the API endpoint, the application needed to access.
No hops.
Hops.
Just for everybody else who's listening, Marco's English is amazing as a second language. But a hop, if you hear Marco say hop, is one of those things that a packet of data does between networks, right? But I think this is fantastic. So you add permission for people to other accounts to use your network, and then quite rightly, those people then can't administer that network. They're not going to be able to. They can just use it, right? They can
application needed to perform this way is very interesting to perform everything.
Yeah, cool, exciting new feature. Multiple SSH keys. Well, I guess everybody knows here, CloudStack has been able to assign SSH key pairs for instances, for VMs, for forever and a day, but it's always had the limitation of just one. And that's obviously meant if you've got different people in an organization, in a team who need to use those keys, they've had to share those keys. Not great from a security and auditing viewpoint. CloudStack can now create as many key pairs as you need. I think that is you can do that both during the creation of an instance, right? Launching a VM and go and do it retrospectively, Marco, is that correct? Or?
Yeah, you can select the keys you want to be created in the virtual machine during the creation wizard, and after you can change as well or remove or add new keys. It's possible that.
Cool, and no need to start editing the authorized keys file. It's all handled by CloudStack in the API or in the UI, right?
Yeah, it's very nice feature to manage the security. It's very interesting because you reduce the risk as well. Yeah,
get it. Fantastic. This is one of my favorites because I like good troubleshooting tools in any platform. So CloudStack has these things called events, right? CloudStack events, system events, which really are the go-to place in terms of both troubleshooting problems before you then go to the logs, and then also from an audit and accountability viewpoint as well. And I know nearly every CloudStack operator out there relies on these CloudStack logs. Now, these have always been pretty unstructured, right? They've basically been big blobs of text. And I know a lot of people have done a lot of work in parsing these and pushing them out to upstream systems and that sort of stuff, but they've never really been up to scratch. So what we've now got is proper structured system events. Every event is associated with a specific resource, specific object. That now starts to give us some really good stuff in the UI. So things like being able to click through from that event into the object and back. Things like being able to filter and sort and search events very, very quickly. People were always using third-party tooling to do this. Now you can do it natively in CloudStack. Also, because events are now associated with a specific object properly and in a structured way, you can now go to an object such as a VM, any object, by the way, a network, and go and see what events, like an event viewer for that specific thing in the user interface, and also in the API as well. You can retrieve all of these through the API. One note there is that the descriptions, which you see in the field there in the middle, at the moment, they remain untouched. And the reason for that is that a lot of organizations were parsing these to push out into other systems. So that remains untouched because we didn't want to break anybody's parsing, right? Probably further down the line, those descriptions will start to tidy up. You see there's some UIDs in there. They're not necessarily needed. They can be put in other places, but that's probably work for a future date. So really, really nice troubleshooting improvement there. More flexible service offerings. So CloudStack's had, it has disk offerings, it has lots of different offerings, but with a compute offering, i.e. for an instance, for a virtual machine, you've only ever had the option to specify basically how big the root volume is, right, for the root volume. Whereas when creating an offering, a storage offering for other volumes, you've had all sorts of control. You can use tags to decide where it goes, what IOPS it has, how big it is, obviously, lots and lots of control. But for root volumes, you've only ever been able to specify the size. And Marco, you got that, that brilliant fact you told me earlier is that, 90-something% of all virtual machines in CloudStack only ever have a root volume, right?
Exactly, use only the root volume, and the user they are not able to change these characteristics of the root volume. Depending on the application the user are running, if you need more disk performance, for example, before it's not possible to change this offering, you need to add a new data volume to get better performance. Now, you can, for example, change the characteristics of the root volume, change the service offering. That's okay. It's solve 95% of the problem with the users, I think.
Yeah. So what's happening now is that a compute offering now points to a disk offering for its root disk. Instead of just having the size information contained within it, you just point it to a disk offering, and you can then create, as an admin, you can create whatever root disk offerings you want, different size, different tiers, different grades of storage, different IOPS, etc., etc., etc. And users can then go and choose what one of those offerings they use for their root disk. They can then go and change that further down the line. Of course, this can all be controlled in terms of what's available to them, etc., etc. So we've created that relationship between the two. And I forget who it was who worked on this, but I know that there was a lot of unpicking of that relationship, right? It was some intricate engineering to get that relationship there. Most importantly, I think it's listed there on the slide, the existing model is still fully supported, right? So nothing's going to break. You're not going to have to go and do a big migration here. If you've still got, the basic information about the size of the root disk in the service offering and in the virtual machine, that's not going to change, right? But you can then slowly migrate people to giving them that choice of using a full disk offering. Okay, so again, another feature that, unless you've run CloudStack for a while, you won't understand how useful this is. But traditionally, the only way of getting a public IP was to either create a network or go and hit the button of acquire new IP, I think it's listed as, right? And that would go through the process of getting that IP, assigning it to the network. Of course, what people are often doing is they're actually doing some upstream work in Kubernetes, in Terraform, in whatever. They're writing some scripting or something, and they need to know IP addresses of this system that hasn't yet been built. So what this feature allows you to do is to go and reserve an IP address. It won't use it for anything. It just reserves it to your account. Okay. Once you've got that reserved, you can then go and use it to build a network, do whatever you want with it, but nobody else can use it until it's freed by you. Marco, you got anything to say on that?
Yeah, it's a very, very small change that make a very big difference. That's it. I mean, right? Because you can plan before the IP address you use and register DNS, for example, registers. It's a simplified life during the planning when you are planning to instance a new infrastructure for applications. It simplifies everything. Yeah.
Get it. Okay, server status report. Again, it's something that if you've operated CloudStack, you'll see why this has turned up. This is a simple sort of view, a simple report, right, where you can go only as an admin, and you can go and get overall status of your management server or all of your management servers in your farm. Are they up? Are they running? Start with. What sort of CPU performance have they got at the moment? Memory performance. You can look at the database statistics, how long it's been up, what version it's wearing, what sort of response times it's giving at the moment. Same with the usage server. So it's just a very quick, at a glance view of your overall your overall system status. Again, available to UI and API if you need to push it upstream into anything else. There are some other new things. We've got multiple local storage for KVM hosts. A lot of work gone into improving instance and volume migration and how that works, particularly in the UI. We're not going to go into those in great detail. They're pretty self-explanatory when you find them. So I think time for some demo, Marco. Marco's volunteered to do this. We've chosen some things that has been relatively easy to demo. We've steered away from the upgrade stuff and the IPv6 stuff. It's just some of the other stuff that it's good to show people where you can actually find this in the UI, etc. Marco, are you good to share your screen?
Yeah, let me share it here. Wait a minute. Here I am. It's shared. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, let's go. We are here. The first to show is
self-service networks.
Okay, self-service network. Well, the first thing the user need is to register a new network offering for shared network. Well, let me pass here. Well, it's important you click first at add a new network, and then you have this button here, shared. Okay.
And that's never been there in CloudStack before, right?
No, for end user, no. Hey, let me log in with end user. I think it's much better to show.
Yeah, that button wouldn't be there because you're in service offerings. But
no, the service offering need to be like root user. That's okay. The admin user. That's okay. Well, so when registering a new network for shared, you need to click on shared in the guest type, and then the user, as they don't know about any information behind the CloudStack, the user don't know about the VLAN ID, for example, then the specified VLAN need to be unselected. And here in supported service, as it is a shared network, need support only DHCP and user data. Where is user data? Here. That's okay. It will be provided by virtual router. Okay, so you have one here ready to use. I will log in as a regular user now.
Okay, so you've got the admins created the service offering for a shared network.
Exactly.
Get it?
And now here, the user can, for example, when adding a new network, there is a new tab here. It's a shared. You just click and go to create a new one. Well, here just it's a shared network. You use the network often I create as a admin. It's here the shared network, and then just okay. Oh, needed to include the information IPv4 information. Wait a minute. 192.168.0.1, for example. We don't have it in our infrastructure. Oops. Start IP in 2 and finish in 10, for example. And okay, that's it. You have here a shared network ready to be used. Don't have these IPs are available. It's the list, for example. It's very simple. Before you needed to ask for the service provider to create a new, then user are able to do it directly.
Get it. Okay.
Another way you can, for example, use the shared network instead to have, for example, a segregated VLAN for it. I can use my own network, existing network of VPC tier, and use it as a shared. It's very nice as use case, for example, when an application needed to connect with other in the same layer to reduce the time to access the application. For example, shared network 2. Let me create a new one here. Well, it's a shared network, and then I define here my network as associated network. But I continue using the need to set 2 to 10. That's okay. In this case, the virtual machine here.
Yeah.
It will need to create a virtual router now. Maybe it can need some time, but it's possible to use existing network as a shared network as well. It's a very interesting feature as well.
So you take one you've already been using for some time and just create that, now turn that into a shared network or nest it effectively.
Exactly.
Cool.
That's it.
Love that. Let's have, while we're talking about networks, let's have a look at the how you can share give access to other accounts, right? I really like this.
Okay, let's go there. Well, suppose that, let me log in as admin first. Wait. So here in network, for example, you have this network listed here. Okay, I want, for example, to share, let me create a new one network and isolate, that's okay. So this is created, that's it. Isolate a network, that's it. Yeah. Now you have this new tab here, network permission. Can you see?
Okay.
Then there is no, it's not shared with other accounts here. Then I can just click at add network permission and designate the accounts I want to share this network and just click OK. It's on the list here. I can remove the permission just clicking here, and I remove the permission for other accounts if I want.
Okay,
that's it.
So you're basically giving that other account permission to send traffic over that network, not to manage it, right?
Not manage. For example, users can create a virtual machine and plug the network of this virtual machine in the same network from another account. For example, it's very simple. But you can't to create a firewall rules, load balancer, or other things in the network because they can manage. That's the point.
They can't manage. They can use and access that network
centrally. Exactly. Just to access to reduce the overhead between the applications. It's very nice. Nice.
Let's have a look at the multiple SSH keys.
Oh well, yeah. For example, let me go here. I have here two user 1 key and user 2 key are different SSH key. During the wizard to create a new virtual machine, you can select as before, but before just one SSH key. Oh, I needed to log in as a user. Wait a minute, because the key is not mine. User password. So, oops. Here, so here the SSH key, and I start the wizard, and then in this part here, before you remember Giles, it's possible to select just one, right?
Get it.
Now I can select more than one SSH key, and when I just launch the instance, both SSH key will be set in the authorized keys inside the virtual machine.
Yeah, you can choose as many as you've got, right?
Exactly. You can select 100 if you want, if there is a one to users using.
And then once you've got that instance up and running, I guess then we've got somewhere where you can actually view the sets as an admin? You can see what sets of SSH keys are applied to it.
Sorry, I don't understand.
So if you go to an instance, an existing instance, you can then go and see what SSH keys are actually assigned to that instance, right?
In this case, you need to stop the virtual machine and start again. It's a process because the virtual machine needed to run the cloud init demo to get the information from CloudStack.
Get it. Okay, cool. So let's look at those system events. These new structured system events.
Yes, it's very nice feature as well. Before it's easy to navigate. For example, I have one information here. It's a login. You have the states. It's completed. Well, a description, and when you the resource is a user login. Then if you click in the user, you go direct to the object. It's related, it's a simplify to navigate between the events you have in your CloudStack, It's for example, this is a lab network. I go direct to the object. It's related. It's a very nice feature.
But for me, just click on that again. You go back into that network. For me,
here.
This is the other way round. Is the bit that really interests me. Because now in that network object, you've got an events tab there, right, next to public IP, and you can then go.
Go back. It's much more smooth. It's before you needed to get the name in the description and then locate it. Many times the description is not too much clear to locate the object. Now it's really easy to navigate and access the object, the target object here in CloudStack.
Get it. And
well,
we've got search, we've got filter, we've got
everything. For example, I wanted to search some information here. I have an information about, for example, an IP. 10.0.3.251. Just that's it I have here.
Okay.
That's the information I need. It's logged.
Get it. Lovely.
It's parse the text in the description and you just find it easier.
Yeah, cool. All right. And let's just finally, as a last quick demo, let's have a look at the root disk, the service offering around root disk. Do you want to go through that?
Sorry, I don't share the screen. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Okay. The shared root disk. It's a nice feature, really. Well, before, as you know, Giles, the user can select the characteristic of root disk, and as you explained before, most of virtual machines are running only with root disk. And if the application needs more performance, more disk performance, it's not possible to change these characteristics. Then now user, for example, during the virtual machine creation, in this session, and here, template, user, let me select a template, is here. Compute the offering, overhead, disk, wait. Where is this? I think it's not enabled here. Data disk, only the data disk here. Compute your offering. Giles, I don't.
Marco, listen, the demo gods have been okay for you so far, and bearing in mind it was only released yesterday. I'll let you off on that one. What you're expecting to see there is a choice of
exactly when I'm selecting the compute offering here. I don't have the option here. I think I forgot to enable it. Let me try to enable it here. Wait a minute.
Marco, don't worry, we're nearly out of time anyway. I think people can follow the documentation and they can.
Oh, okay, great, Giles.
Cool. I think that's everything we were going to do demo-wise today. If we just sort of wrap up now, give me a second. Okay, so hopefully you found that demo useful. In terms of resources now, 4.17's released. There's a few links for everybody. It's available at cloudstack.apache.org to download. Documentation is all up there at docs.cloudstack.apache.org. I haven't quite got the link in there in time. There is a what's new blog. There's a what's new blog at shapeblue.com. I think there's also one at the CloudStack website as well. And obviously the mailing list if anybody's got any further questions around the 4.17 release. That's everything we've got to talk about today. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this. I hope you're as excited about 4.17 as Marco and I are. There's our contact details if you want to reach out and get in touch. Our Twitter accounts, both our Apache and our ShapeBlue email addresses. Thank you for listening, everybody, and I hope you enjoy CloudStack 4.17.
Thank you, guys. See you later. Enjoy the 4.17. Bye.